Acolytes, I heard that Disney is done with narcissistic people. Or maybe they are, maybe they're not. Probably not. It's just because Lord Farquaad here was especially annoying. But hey, let's just see after the flop how they actually behave. Snow White was such a freaking flop. Oh, beautiful.
Hey, what's up, guys? Riff here. So today we continue our coverage of the slow-moving car crash that is Disney's live-action remake of Snow White.
Yeah.
As the weekend has passed on and we've had about a week at the box office for this film, we can now truly appreciate the absolute bombing that this film is doing and the terrible
Good.
numbers, not just representing this film, but representing the entire movie industry right now. And because of the chaos going on with this film, people are starting to get very frustrated in the industry and within the production of this film. And they're
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe, just maybe, in the future, some companies and actors will finally learn to shut the fuck up.
sharing insider info and other testimonials, sharing the chaos going on behind the scenes and the preferential treatment that Rachel Zegler has received during her controversies that do not reflect the very harsh punishments other Disney actors have
Yep.
faced for much lesser controversies on social
Yep,
media.
Lord
And when I was
Farquaad
getting ready
came
to
out on top.
record this video, I couldn't help but think about this Screen Rant article from about a year and a half ago where Disney's CEO, Bob Iger, was reportedly becoming increasingly frustrated, exhausted, and overwhelmed after multiple box office flops. And that'll happen when you keep making soulless cash grabs and shameless live action remakes for the simple purpose of a quick cash grab. And that's exactly what Disney's live action Snow White has turned out to be. As you can see, the headline states here, Snow White bombs, breaks record for lowest live action remake opening. Is anybody surprised? Absolutely not. So here are the initial numbers. We're about a week into the film's release now, and here it is. 48 million domestic, 43 million international for a total of $92 million. This is an absolute disaster. If this was 92 million on the opening weekend alone, that would be a disaster. But this is even worse than people had projected. In fact, with the domestic box office numbers, the opening weekend was supposed to get somewhere between 50 to 60 million. That was in the latest predictions. And now look at it. It hasn't even reached 50 million yet until this point. Now, what's really interesting and concerning for Disney here is that the international numbers for this film are really underwhelming. I think they were cashing in on international numbers carrying this film because a lot of the controversy involves domestic issues, a lot of things involving politics in the United States. But internationally, people are not impressed, and Disney focused hard on the international audience, and look at the results.
Acolytes, even internationally, people are just sick of fucking Farquaad lookalikes that actually think they are something and then do stuff like she did. Fuck those people, fuck everyone who supports them, and especially fuck every company who supports them. This is a worldwide thing, not just America. And Farquaad just fucked up so many times that Disney just cannot save it. And I hope that by some unholy might, people finally get the balls to say, okay, they are doing this, fuck them, I'm not buying anything from them. Just to take away the power of them. And if they see that one of the leaders does the exact same shit, they just say, I'm not gonna pick them. Even though I picked the same exact thingy-bob, every fucking year I'm just gonna go out of my routine and do what's correct for me, for everyone else, and just pick someone who actually wants to improve things. Fuck!
For the opening weekend. These are the international numbers. The UK, Mexico, Italy, France pulling in some decent numbers, but look at the bottom here.
Fair enough.
China at $900,000. They didn't even break $1 million in Disney's golden goose, that is China. That is the place in the world which, obviously based on its population, can save a Disney film when it's flopping domestically. And
Yep.
they've done that many times over. Here's a good example of the Mufasa the Lion King, the latest Lion King movie that came out a few months ago. This did really poorly domestically, which is surprising given the predecessor film and how well it did overall. But it got saved by the international box office. It represented 65% of the gross for that film. It was completely saved. It was dead in the water within about a week or two of release domestically, but internationally it's continued to rake in money over and over again. It's still in theaters, by the way. This was released in December. It's crazy the run this film has done. Now, of course, this all comes as a surprise to Rachel Zegler, who never in a million years thought people wouldn't show up to her film. This old clip here has resurfaced, and I think it really sums up the narcissism of this woman in full detail.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
They did not. So,
Fair enough. And good. Good. At this point, it is heartless, acolytes. I just hope that people like this burn at this point. They should crash, burn, lose their entire life. It's relevant. Because people like Lord Farquaad here would do exactly the same to you. Simple as that. Everybody else can make their mistakes. But people like her should burn in effing Hölle.
basically, she's going on this performance here, probably her best performance of her career, where she's saying that she's basically this stunning marvel of the world that no matter what, people will show up for. Well, obviously we know that's just an example of her narcissism coming through once again. But she's been taking victory laps. On Instagram, she posted this the other day saying, number one movie in the world. Social media has fried my brain. So she's saying it's the number one movie in the world, referring to Snow White, of course. And that's very odd because she's right. That's the thing that's really sad. She's right. Despite the comments coming in on Instagram and instantly just bombarding her with criticism and negative comments, and she would deactivate the comment section pretty quickly, she's not wrong, which is the sad thing. This was the number one film over the weekend, which doesn't show how good Snow White is. It shows the absolute devastation of the movie industry right now. And let's be honest, guys, it's been a really rough year for movies, okay? At the top, you see Neza 2, a Chinese film that's grossed nearly $2 billion worldwide. Some of these Hollywood actors are going to have to start learning Mandarin pretty soon because this is an absolute bloodbath. So we go from almost $2 billion to $400 million with Captain America Brave New World, who limped their way over that $400 million mark, which we all know was something that reflects a budget that Disney is very, very cryptic about. They say it's $180 million, but most people believe the actual budget is way bigger because that was the original budget before a long run of reshoots. So this is likely a big financial disaster. Then you have Dogman here, raking in $130 million. Bridget Jones, mad about the boy. I have no idea what that is. 123. Yeah. It's the fourth best grossing film so far this year. And then Mickey 17, that was pretty disappointing. And then Snow White's down.
I'm gonna be honest, acolytes. All of those, I just looked in for 10 minutes on sites where you can do that. Wink, wink. And a few years ago, acolytes, I actually was quite happy to go into a kino and just watch a nice film on the big screen. But these days, not even bothering. That's irrelevant.
Here, absolutely crazy that Snow White, despite being such a disaster, is already the 6th highest grossing film of 2025. We're basically in April at this point. That should be pretty concerning. Now, of course, you can look beyond the box office numbers, right? We also have the IMDb ratings. And the IMDb rating for this is a 1.6 out of 10 on 157,000 ratings. Let me repeat that. 1.6 out of 10 on 156,000 ratings. If that sounds like the worst all time, that's because it is. People have absolutely repudiated this film. And as I said in my previous videos about Snow White, the biggest indictment on this film is not just the controversy. It's the film itself. It's underwhelming. And the number one comment I see over and over again is that this film is boring. And that's the worst thing that can happen. Your film is just boring. There's no saving grace. People will overlook a lot of controversy, actors they don't like, as long as the film is actually good. And unfortunately for Rachel Zegler and this film, it's just not very good. It's boring. People tuned out. And speaking of that low number, that 1.6, it finally happened, ladies and gentlemen. Dragon Ball Evolution has been avenged, okay? They have finally found a foe that's worse than them. And Snow White, and this meme, by the way, had a 2.2. It's now a 1.6. So it's even a further gap at this point. But the memes and all of the claims that Dragon Ball Evolution was the worst film ever and they used this IMDb rating, well, the memes have changed. Snow White has cemented itself into the history books, and just congratulations to them. They really deserve it. So, let's move on to another round of controversy. A lot of people in the industry and a lot of people from inside the set are starting to reveal things to the press. We're going to begin with this. So, the son of a Snow White producer named Mark Platts went off on Rachel Zegler for ruining his father's movie. And this would...
Okay. Hear me out on this one. It's not purely Farquaad's fault. If this man, this producer, had some balls behind it, he would either leave the movie or try or make it better. Just tell the fucks above him, hey, this is bollocks, this will flop, I'm not doing this, thank you. So I mean, it's not as easy as I make it sound, but now he's known as the fuck up who made Snow White. So pick your poison, I guess.
Would cause a lot of stir on social media. So some of the posts they're referring to here is posts like this, the latest post on social media, or at least on Twitter, from Rachel Zegler, where she talks about the film, basically is making a promotion, then also at the same time promotes her next project, which is I
am in the thick of rehearsing for Romeo and Juliet. Get the fuck out of Romeo and Juliet. Oh, for fuck's sake, every classic gets destroyed these days. Probably to lesbians or something like that.
Assume very unprofessional. And then she ends it with, and always remember, free Palestine.
Yeah, of course.
So the activism comes through, and this was obviously very polarizing, whether you agree with the message or not. It's obviously going to be divisive to people, especially when it's made under a post talking about the Snow White trailer that also just happened to be one of the most disliked YouTube videos of all time. But of course, let's see those comments from that producer's son, where someone, it appears on Instagram, said, your dad flew to New York City to reprimand a young actress. Any word on this? Because that's creepy as hell and uncalled for. People have the right to free speech, no?
Sim.
Shame on your father. And he said this, you really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and to do publicly for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all of the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. Mic drop.
Okay. The dudes on point. Love this. This is exactly on freaking point. Good. But I still hold the belief that his father also fucked up. He had his fingers in it and just did everything that he could to... Yet, I mean, the producer, I don't know how it was behind the scenes, of course, but I still am critical of his side. Doesn't mean that Jonah played here is wrong. He's correct in every single word he's spitting out here.
Okay, he definitely has a very fair point here. And I don't want to make it like so dumbed down. This is all just Rachel Zegler. Rachel Zegler is the reason this failed. Well, no, she's a very large contributor, but
yes,
it was a part, right? She was the major factor in destroying the PR and goodwill of this film. And she did it repeatedly for the course of years. And that is something that is mind-boggling. And of course, people are going to be frustrated who are working on the film because they were left out to dry. They really were. And of course, people are running defense for Rachel Zegler in the replies of various posts sharing this message. And you can see this person, Gal Gadot is the reason the film is doing so bad. Gal Gadot, literally ask 10 people, 5 say Gadot, 5 people say Gadot. It is what it is at this point. But people like this, who are clearly big fans of Rachel Zegler, they're trying to blame this all on Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot. Whatever, man. Yeah, okay, you might have a point that she contributed to some of the negative PR because she's a very loud supporter of Israel in the conflict with Palestine. And yes, of course, again, that's going to isolate people and make them not want to support this film. But let's not pretend that the level of attention and negativity that Rachel Zegler produced is anywhere near what Gal Gadot did. It's not even close. And of course, you look at the end product at the end of the day. So here, on the left, my left.
Yeah, it's like, if you compare those two things, let's just take a glass of water. If you take a glass of water, Farquaad contributed 2 liters of pure shit to the glass of water. Gal Gadot, maybe 0.3 liters, so, you know, the balance is a bit off here. But both fucked up.
You have Rachel Zegler saying free Palestine. On the right, you have Gal Gadot, who served in the IDF and is openly supporting Israel. Congratulations, you pissed off everyone. I mean, really, you pissed off a very large majority of people one way or another. And that's before we're getting into issues with the film itself, with the CGI dwarfs and all the changes to this classic film. It's a mess, okay? It's not all on Gal
I still hope the Apple wins.
That's crazy. But of course, we're getting more inside stories revolving around social media controversies involving Rachel Zegler. So Variety, who was literally doing tricks on Disney and this film for months, if not years on end, all of a sudden are changing their tune and sharing a lot of negative stories about this film, including this headline saying, "Inside Disney's Snow White fiasco, death threats, beefed up security, and a social media guru for Rachel Zegler." Down here you can say on August 12th, 2024, 3 days after Rachel Zegler hit the stage at Disney's D23 fan event to introduce the first official trailer of Snow White, she thanked supporters effusively in an X post for driving the teaser to 120 million views in 24 hours. 1 minute later, she added an afterthought in the same thread, and always remember free Palestine. That addendum, which amassed 8.8 million views, nearly 4 times the number for the initial post, quickly made the rounds, with many inside the studio expressing shock that the Snow White star would commingle the promotion of its 270 million tentpole with any kind of political statement. A Disney executive raised the studio's concerns with the Zegler team, while the film's producer, Mark Platt, flew to New York to speak directly with her. But the actress, whose relationship with the studio began to unravel in 2022 during a contentious West Side Story Awards season campaign and continued as she trashed the beloved original Snow White, stood her ground, and the post remained. Yes, and then, of course, from that, there was death threats directed towards Gal Gadot because of their opposing political views, and that caused a need for extra security, which, of course, ballooned the budget of this even further. Again, is that a huge deal with the budget? No, but it was something that was caused by this contentious series of political activism all across the board, I guess, with this film at this point. But
Acolytes, you don't even know how many things can be just skipped, can be just fended off by just shutting the fuck up. There are moments where you speak and there are moments where you shut the fuck up. And Farquaad doesn't understand the shut the fuck up moment. In fact, it would be best if this Farquaad character here just shut the fuck up until she, well, basically goes the way of a... I'm not gonna say it. Maybe you know what I mean.
But if you look further into some of these actions, Disney was trying, I guess. So from the New York Post, Snow White star Rachel Zegler's social media was vetted by Disney after anti-Trump post. So actually what happened here is there was seemingly multiple rounds of Disney trying to come in and wrangle in Rachel Zegler, and these had to do with the anti-Trump posts she has made consistently for almost a decade at this point. And this is the stuff that I guess really scared Disney. But interestingly enough, they didn't make her take down any posts. They instead sent a social media guru over to see Rachel Zegler and tell her, hey, maybe this is a bad idea to be alienating the majority of the domestic population that your film is greatly riding on. And, you know, it was posts like this, way back in 2020, this is some people's first introduction where she quoted this NPR tweet saying, F Donald Trump. Funny how Twitter didn't ask me to revise that one, which is interesting. Look at the time of this. June 12th, 2020. That's like 3 months into COVID, and like the way the social order was going at that time, yeah, I'm not surprised you got away with that tweet. Like, that was very acceptable at the time. But then she also has other tweets like this from 2018 saying the Trump administration is falling apart and I'm just watching while stuffing popcorn in my mouth dramatically. Yes, I love seeing your own country fall apart because it's serving your political needs. Like, what a patriot here. And then this is what really drew in the attention and likely got the social media guru, to go talk to her long Instagram post where she ends it saying she hopes that Trump voters and Trump himself never know a moment of peace in their life ever again. Which, again, great way to...
I still don't understand it. Why? Why are those people so freaking butthurt because the guy that's not their favorite became president? You have a president right now that actually wants to fix things from what I can see, and you should work together. It's irrelevant if you like it or not. You should work together. No, they are trying to fuck things up even more for something reason.
To alienate a good portion of your domestic box office. And then, as people have pointed out, Gina Carano was fired. This was a Star Wars actress who made some controversial posts, but mainly the one that got her likely fired, was the main contributor, was a post where she was mocking people with pronouns in their bio. Instead of getting a social media guru, instead of getting coddled, instead of being allowed to leave up most of these posts that were related, she was shit-canned. Rachel Zegler got preferential treatment for what I would say are much, much, much more inflammatory statements. Again, you can agree or disagree with her messages about Trump. That's totally up to you. But obviously they're inflammatory. Like, anyone looking at this objectively knows that's the truth. And the fact that Carano got such a harsher treatment for making fun of people with pronouns in their bio on Twitter versus this, it's crazy. It's unbelievable bias, and look how it paid off for Disney. Congratulations. But don't worry, the Rachel Zegler stands are in full force. This person saying Disney next, Variety next, Mark Platt next, Gal Gadot next. Every tongue that rises against Rachel Zegler will fall. Here's another one from a Rachel Zegler stan account dedicated solely to hyping her up, saying she'll always be my Snow White. Hashtag I stand with...
Wait. Parody account. Wouldn't this mean that he is joking, or that person is, as I said, a parody account?
Rachel. I told you. There are people out there who are rabid in defense of Rachel Zegler.
Yes, of course.
No matter what she does.
And there always will be. That's nothing new. There are always some fanatics for something. That's normal. But I think that this means that this was meant sarcastic.
And this film and how it bombs won't change it. But anyways, that's going to do for this video. This is the latest update on Snow White's.
Okay, fair enough.
What happens next with this film, I'm not really sure. It feels like things are bubbling behind the scenes. People are frustrated, and we might see some more stories from behind the scenes. We'll have to wait and see if that happens, though.
Yeah, the thing is, this is actually quite interesting. The comments, the entire thing around Snow White is way more interesting than the film itself. I would say, fair enough. And at the end, let it effing burn, make fun of it, just let it go down. It's fine. Let go. I know it destroyed Snow White, but a lot of things got destroyed. That's just the next piece in a long, long path that we still have ahead of us from things that just get demolished. But, acolytes, until then, good night.